What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another Marvel Crisis, Aegis Brand Studios soapbox. Now, we will be talking Marvel Crisis Protocol. I figured with the upcoming May card update, character update that we're seeing, I just wanted to share some thoughts on, 3 characters that I would like to see improved coming the next update, and 3 characters that, maybe should get a scooch down, a touchdown, and all that sort of stuff. None of this is to say that I think the 3 characters that I want nerfed are hugely problematic, but maybe they're just a little ahead of the curve. But I would say the 3 characters that I want updated are, I think, characters that either need a little bit of a helping hand, or maybe with some of the other recent changes have potentially seen a change in their own fortunes. Just going to share some thoughts. Now, these are very much just my own opinions and thoughts here. There's going to be people who agree with me, people who disagree with me, and that is fine. I mean, I don't have any sort of like magical hotline to AMG. I don't know who they're changing. Now, what I will say is that any character that I believe is confirmed to be changed, I'm not going to touch on them. There is one gray area simply because somebody has told me that they might be being changed, but I haven't been able to verify that anywhere. So I will use that one particular character there. But everyone else is basically characters that, as far as I know, haven't been confirmed or denied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a one I want to get updated, one I want to get nerfed a little bit first, and that's going to be the structure for this. I'll share some thoughts on it, and we'll go into that. But before we go into that, if you're viewing this between the dates of April 28th and May 12th, please remember there is currently a channel giveaway going on for either an Inhuman Royal Court box for Crisis Protocol or the Adepticon exclusive for Shatterpoint, the I Am No Jedi box. That's the very cool Ahsoka Tano and Vader Fallen Master box set with the terrain. There is a separate video that you can check out on the channel. Be sure to enter that for your chance to win one of those. Anyway, so with the May update coming, let's start the speculation. Let's see how many people I can get upset by this one. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up as far as characters that I want the most adjustments for here. So starting with the character that the third character I want to see updated for the modern era of Marvel Crisis Protocol, and that is going to be She-Hulk. For a long time, I felt that She-Hulk was kind of my baseline for a 6th threat, but obviously over time, AMG has not agreed with that, and she has been left further and further behind, especially with characters like King Black Bolt and Gladiator coming out. Hulk continued being the way he is and everything like that. Unfortunately, She-Hulk she's been left behind a tiny little bit with her particular suite of skills. I think one of the big things right off the hop is her defensive stats. She's just always felt a little paper thin. She's got a nice big stamina pool of 20, but that 3-4-3 just always feels a little on the weaker side, especially with physical being the most common attack trait in the game. Seeing that boost up to 4 would be a really nice touch. It would just make her a little bit more survivable, which would be really nice. However, having said that, she also suffers from a time that she came out when spenders were kind of weirdly costed. Sometimes some spenders were okay value for power spent, but a lot of the time the value to power spent never really worked out, and I think the defense rest is one of those. It does have, the great aspect that if it deals damage, there's that slow and that stun, and if they are already slowed, they're going to get that stagger as well. But 9 dice for 5 power it's expensive. Frankly, it is expensive, and it makes the rest of her kit, unfortunately, just a little bit too cost prohibitive to properly use. I think keep the dice the same, keep everything the same. The only thing I would really change is, bring that power down a scooch a little bit. Just make it so it's a little bit easier to get that spender out there, because it's a fun spender, and it would make She-Hulk just a little bit better if she can actually throw her bigger dice pool out a little bit more. Because as of right now, between 5 power and 0 power and 2 dice difference in some conditions, it just kind of feels like there's not really a lot of reason to not just use her builder attack and maybe throw or something like that. So that's one of the things. That's another thing that I would maybe look at right there. I think the rest of her stuff is generally okay. Some sort of action compression would be really cool, a charge or anything like that, but I think that might be asking a little bit too much for She-Hulk. But she does kind of struggle a little bit to keep up with the rest of the team, because a lot of the time her play pattern is to move, punch, or move, throw, punch, or something like that. She's very easy to be displaced because, unfortunately, size 3, there's plenty of size 3 throws out there. And, it's very easy to just kind of ignore her, because even though she has aggressive, it's a very simple thing to simply move her out of bodyguard range and then just not attack her, so she can't aggressive forward. So ideally, a little bit of the curve to make her, when she does attack, a little bit more powerful, and to make it so she doesn't drop all her power on one thing at a time. Give her the ability to make use of some of her other skills in addition to her spender. I think Clear the Court is fine at 3 power. I mean, it's a size 4, medium throw. Love it. It's great. I think Superior Weight Training is a really cool ability to use. At 3 power, with a lot of targets being 2, you're not seeing a lot of use out of it. And with the kaijus not being as prevalent, or at least the huge kaijus, you're not adding a huge amount of dice pool to it. There probably could be an argument to make that down to 2, but I think that would be pushing things a little bit much. But overall, that's kind of what I would do for it. And maybe make her immune to stun or something like that. I don't know, just something to make She-Hulk just feel a little bit better. It might improve seeing A-Force come out, even though they did recently win Adepticon with a very strong showing by Mike DeLuca. She-Hulk herself has always been a bit of an anchor for A-Force itself. So anyway, that's who I would like to see get a little bit of an update at the start of it. Now, keeping with the Jade Giants here, someone that I'd like to see get maybe touched down a small scooch is actually the original Hulk. And I know he's been touched on before, and there might be people saying he's perfectly fine around that sort of stuff. I think he's still a little bit too efficient for what he does. And a lot of that comes down to just his absolutely mind-bendingly good throw at 2 power. He's got that size 4 medium throw. It's online right away. It's very easy to get, especially if you're playing him in Steve Vengers or anything like that, where you get that discount on a superpower being used, because he's also gaining 3 power every round, because I believe he's immune to stun. So he's always gaining that 3 power every round. He is very consistent. Frankly, I'd like to see that just get moved up a scooch. I'd like to see that become a 3 cost ability. It would just keep him from being able to sort of both Gamma Leap and Strongest One There Is on round 1 with Steve. It would mean that you do actually still have to get some attacks in there, and it makes his play pattern actually create some player decision points. So it's not as in-depth as the She-Hulk address, but that's all I'd really like to change on Hulk. Next up, for characters that I'd like to see updated, this one's actually sort of a package deal, and that is X-23 and Honeybadger. Now, I can already hear people saying, why? Why does X-23 need to be updated? Well, this is not so much X-23 being updated, but it's an update for the benefit of Honeybadger. Both these characters were designed when exceptional healing was a thing, and I think as the removal of that card has hurt them negatively as a result, more so Honeybadger than X-23. X-23 can still punch well above her weight. She's got the innate reroll and everything like that, so she has more tech going for her. What I would actually like to see change on this, and if you guys listen to any other content, you might have already heard my thoughts on this one. I'd love to see an adjustment to Big Sis, Little Sis, and I'd like to see it where, in addition to the medium advance, it grants them basically a free 0 cost attack as part of it. So if you hit Honeybadger, X-23 can move up medium and do just the basic claw slash. If you hit X-23, Honeybadger can move up and do her basic slash. And the reason I like this change a lot is because it really helps encourage the pairing of the two characters. I think they have a really cool mechanic with Big Sis, Little Sis, and you just don't see it used because, quite frankly, a lot of the time, Honeybadger just feels so left behind, especially without exceptional healing. When she used to have that ability to just basically say no to a big spike, it made her a lot stronger. It allowed her to actually be on the table, take advantage of her ankle biter, and just be a general nuisance. These days, that's not really the case. I think with this change, it encourages you to use both Laura and Gabby in the same team. It encourages you to keep them close together. It gives both of them a little bit of extra damage output, which I think is really cool, and basically kind of makes them look at like, okay, maybe them together is a 5-threat character together, kind of like a Groot and Rocket type of situation. So I think that'd be a really cool change, and it would make Gabby a little bit more of a glass cannon, which is kind of cool. But it would also make her taunt that much more dangerous if it's giving X-23 a punch as a part of it all. It would also be a really cool way of generating a little bit of power off it, but it would definitely have to be the free cost attack, because if you could do your spender on X-23 and get that extra medium movement, that'd be a little busted at that point. But anyway, so that's what I would change for them. As far as characters that I like to see brought down a little bit, we already know Toad and Bullseye are getting looked at as 2 threats. One other 2 threat that I'd like to see looked at a little bit, and that is Rocket. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that it's not that we see Rocket everywhere, but where we do see Rocket, he's a very efficient character, and that's in Guardians of the Galaxy. For a 2-threat character, he's got a range 5/5 attack, which just in and of itself is fantastic. He's able to hide behind a size 2 piece of terrain and not be seen, and just liberally put out shots, which is quite powerful for it. And on top of that, one of the best ways of dealing with a lot of characters, that is throwing stuff into them, he's immune to it. You never need to burn brace on him for that one. So what would I change for Rocket? Well, I'd probably do one of 2 things for it. I would either reduce his attack to 4 dice, down from 5, and probably make it a gainer, because I don't like 4 dice builders, but that's neither here nor there. The other thing I would do is I would change his nimble to make it so he's only immune to collision damage from characters. That means you still can't throw Groot into him to take him out, but maybe that car you can throw into him or something like that. Or make some sort of adjustment where instead of rolling for it, you just take 1 damage or something like that. It's just, unfortunately, Rocket has this interesting play pattern that unless you get up and just absolutely whap him over the head and whatnot, sometimes he can be annoying to take down, because a lot of the non-action ways of removing characters are just not an option to him, and that is, picking stuff up and throwing them at him. So that's what I would change for Rocket. Hey, not a big one of those 2 things, and I think it'd be great. As far as my final character that I'd love to see a little bit of a buff here, and this is the one that I've heard might be on the docket, but I have not been able to see that confirmed, and that is Magik. I would love to see Magik get a little bit of an update, partly because, first off, I think Magik is absolutely an awesome character. I think she's always fun when her kit actually goes off and does some things, but she's also now the leader of an affiliation, and having a leader of an affiliation that's just... Unfortunately, she doesn't have the durability to get into the fight. She doesn't have the combat power to really end a fight. She's in a weird place, so she feels like a bit of an odd tax on that. So as far as Magik goes, I think they need to adjust one of anything. They either need to make her more defensive, they may need to make her more of a support, or they need to make her more killy. If they make her more defensive, I'd love to see her defensive tech include energy attacks. Right now, when she's attacked with Mystic, it's basically a reverse pierce. I'd like to see that extended to energy. I'd also like to see her maybe get a slight boost in one of her defensive stats to a 4, either energy or Mystic. Doesn't have to be both, but I'd like to see... actually, no, the Mystic's already 4, so that's fine. Maybe boost like the energy to 4 or something like that, just to make her a little bit more durable. Because right now, like the 3/3/4 with physical energy just being so prominent, and unfortunately her defensive tech not touching either of those, she does feel a little weak. The other thing I would consider for a defensive change is, potentially make her a 6/5 or a 5/6 for a stamina. I think that would go a long way. 6 is a nice break point for stamina. We've seen that once you hit that 6 stamina, you can stay in the fight just a tiny bit longer. Alternatively, you can take a look at some other stuff, like maybe give her a sort of a reactive limbo step, where after she's been punched, you can spend X power and you can move yourself away that range, much like the way limbo step currently works, but just to maybe protect her from getting that double tap in. That'd be another nice, really bit of defensive tech right there, because if you can prevent her from being hit twice, she does potentially get that extra activation, which can be really nice, or it just makes the other player work a little bit harder to take her out. So that's the defensive side of things. Looking into the support side of things, something I've discussed with my locals, other people, I love the idea of giving her a sort of lifesaver type ability where, somebody gets punched with an attack, she opens up a portal, just places them back or anything like that. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do with her. Just, give her another thing to do that she can potentially spend her power on and maybe make the rest of her team just feel a little bit stronger. That's not my strongest argument for Magik, but I think it's an interesting one. Lastly, I think would just be make her feel a little bit more aggressive. If you want to keep her as a glass cannon, make her an actual glass cannon. Give her some ways of bridging the distance that doesn't punish her power economy. Because right now her power economy is really messed up. She struggles to hit the 4 power to use Darkchild, especially if she wants to be using Limbo Step at all. So something that, I've discussed with others is, and I really like this idea when it was suggested to me, was the idea of make Limbo Step a sort of charge where, you can Limbo Step up, make an attack type deal. Just to help with the action economy a little bit. It could be really neat. Or even make it as an additional attack on top of the 2 actions. It could be like an X+1 type deal. I really like that idea, courtesy of Will from the House Party Protocol. I really dig that one. I also like the idea of basically improving Darkchild a little bit, knock it down a little bit in its power cost, give it 1 extra die. 7 dice, counting skulls, just for 3 power feels a lot better than the 4 power for 6 dice counting skulls. Because right now, unfortunately, she did come out at a time when the spenders were very awkwardly costed. So I'd like to see that happen as well. I think that's probably my big one right there, just to make her a little bit punchier in that regard. Because right now, it doesn't feel like she really has the damage output. It doesn't feel like she sticks around. So something like that, just to kind of make her more interesting on the table and not make her feel like she's a tax to bring New Mutants. I think it would also give New Mutants that really punchy character that they kind of are lacking in affiliation at the moment. I know Cable can kind of fill that role, but he's also 5 threat. That's an expensive bring on there. It'd be great to see Magik actually hit that point. So yeah, I'd love to see Magik get a little bit of an update in that regard. The last character that I'd like to see adjusted and maybe brought down a smidge is actually Shang-Chi. Frankly, Shang-Chi is everywhere, and I'm very tired of constantly seeing him on the table. He is very good for a 4-threat character, probably a little bit too good for a 4-threat character, and a lot of that comes down to just his sheer efficiency with how he plays the game. First off, at 4 threat, he's got that 6 die attack. You can change the type for it. It's got a stagger on it. Which is just, that's already a really good basic attack right off the hop. Rising Phoenix kicks make sure that he can get to where he's going quite easily, but then he also has a charge on top of that, which means he's an extremely mobile character, which can create some potential issues on that particular front. But the big thing I think is really 5 Elements Fist, and then it's injured equivalent, the 64 Infinite Palms. Both of these include the ability to displace a character that, first off, is not the character that you attacked, and push them away short, and then potentially stun them if they've hit terrain. All this for 1 power, and that's not even including the other effect that it has, being either a short advance on the healthy side, or damage removal and condition removal on the injured side. It makes for a very efficient character. How this got through at 1 power, I haven't the foggiest. A simple change to this would simply be I'd like to see there be an extra part of the condition to actually get it. And that is, if it deals damage, you can do this. Frankly, I'd also like the 1-inch punch to, have to target the character that it attacked as well, instead of just being able to just clear the point of things. But that's kind of what I would do there. I want to see the efficiency brought down a smidge, just to make it so he just doesn't do this without really thinking about it. Because right now it's so easy to simply go in, make the attack, pay the power, displace some characters, and it makes him extremely efficient as a result. Yes, there are ways of dealing with him, attacking him from range 4, range 5, where he doesn't get his martial artist blanks and all that sort of stuff. But not every team has access to those ranged attacks. A lot of the game is played within range 2 and range 3. So there we go. Those are the characters that I'm hoping to see, if not all of them, at least some of them in the May rebalancing. Be sure to share below. Who are you hoping to see either brought up or brought down? I'm very curious about that one, and we're going to revisit this one as soon as those new card characters are out, and we'll talk about those ones. In the meantime, share your thoughts below. Hit that like and subscribe. remember to check out that giveaway video I got going up here. We'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.